as we get started, I first want to introduce our first panelist, Day Owen from Can-Am Yamaha of Las Vegas. So local dealer, and Day has come with, she's a specialist in the service department. She's the service manager. I visited the dealership earlier this week, and one of the things that we've talked about, Day, is there's a perception that this is a male-dominated industry. So how have you responded to that with a career in power sports as a woman?
Well, it's definitely changing. So as you can see, it's been a wild ride. When I first started in 2002, just in the industry, there was very few women, and now I'm seeing more and more, and I'm definitely one of them. So here I am.
So what are some of the challenges that you've had to overcome, and how do you do it? Is there a customer's perception out there?
Oh, customers
you're
for
the service
sure,
manager.
for sure. I feel like, no offense, guys, but some of the older customers I get, they're just set in their ways, you know. So it's hard for them to talk to a female, but once they talk to me and realize that I know what I'm talking about and know what I'm doing, then it makes it a whole lot easier to, you know, help them out. So.
Well, we're glad to have you here, and we know that there's incredible women in power sports, and I just don't believe the notion that this is a male-dominated industry. It's just
it's
not
changing
the case.
very quickly. So we're here. We're going to take over.
All right, we've got some great numbers here. We want to hear from the audience, and so we've got a question that we're going to show. We'd like to start out by asking you about your service department. Lee is going to show the menti.com. So go to menti.com, log into menti.com, and enter the code 7304-4524. It's at the top of the screen. And tell us about how important is your service department. So is your service department a necessary evil? Are you just wanting to keep and sustain the momentum that you have? The next one is, have you had a recent expansion? So have you recently invested in it, or do you have a planned expansion of your service department? Day, one of the things that you saw, you built your building right before the Can-Am X3 came out. What's your best-selling model now?
So right now, the X3 is huge for us. The building, they had built it in 2015, I believe, and then the X3 came out in 2017, so we outgrew it very quickly. And the good thing is that we are planning an expansion, so we plan on expanding our service department because these units are getting bigger. And you know, we are the backbone of the company, so my boss has definitely noticed that and is making that huge effort to give us more space and more room. So
I love that. The dealership feels like the service is the backbone of the company. I mean, I evidenced that when I walked in to your dealership. You have a beautiful display in the showroom, and then service department is front and center as you walk into the dealership at the back of the showroom.
So everybody has to talk to us. Everybody comes in, they ask us, you know, anything. We have builds, and so customers ask what's on this unit. You know, we show them that we've built it. So yeah, everyone, I talk to pretty much everyone.
That's great. It looks like so far no one thinks that the service department's a necessary evil anymore. It's just a huge part of the dealership operations. Day, one of the things that is a hot topic right now is service retention. We have COVID-era buyers that have come into power sports, and a lot of folks realized real quick that they don't want to be quarantined. They don't want to be stuck inside. They don't want to be outside having fun. And so our industry benefited from maybe a windfall. We had strong demand through the COVID era, and rightfully so. How do we retain those customers in service? I know we have a lot of dealer principals and general managers that are listening today that are thinking, how I sold the unit, that's great, but now what are we doing to retain customers? And I know that your dealership has put a lot of emphasis on retention.
So for us, we started with a text messaging app. So right now we're dealing with Connect. So the nice thing is once the unit is purchased, then sales brings them to us. We make their first appointment. And then we schedule appointments to be sent. Those text messages, you can schedule them. So you can schedule 6 months, 1 year. And so those customers are constantly being notified, hey, your unit is ready for service, schedule your appointment. So Connect has been huge, huge, huge for us. That's how we communicate a lot with customers. We've noticed that a lot of customers don't want to be on the phone or can't be on the phone. So it's super easy for them just to text. And that has helped out significantly for us.
And you're involved in every sales deal. Tell me about that.
Yeah.
How does service play a role in every sales deal?
So the finance guys will come and grab me because when they do offer, prepaid maintenance, the extended service agreements, they come get me, and I will tell the customers, what these services cost, what they entail, the benefits of having extended warranty, because as we all know, extended warranty, the first thing that they ask you, hey, we need maintenance history. If you have prepaid maintenance, guess what? We have that. So I am heavily involved in that process. So we definitely, sell a lot of those products, and then they keep coming back. And then with Connect, it makes it that much easier. So
did you measure your retention rate? So retention rate would be the rate that the customer returns at least once a year in service after they buy the vehicle. What was your service retention before you started doing that? And then after you implemented some of these systems that you're talking about, staying in touch with the customer after the sale through the Connect program, and then also the process of being involved in every sales deal.
So it's huge. When I first started, we didn't have the Connect. So, prepaid maintenance, extended warranty was sold, and we hardly saw those customers. After getting Connect, it was huge. It was huge for us. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but it was pretty huge because now all these customers, they're coming in for their first service. We're definitely ingraining it that, hey, you need that first service at 1,000, 100 hours, or 6 months. So with them getting that text message, they're like, oh, I do need that service. And then, we keep sending them, so then that way they do come back to us.
All right. Welcome, Day. And let's pull up the question again from the audience, and it looks like there really is an appetite for either you've already invested in expanding your service department or you have a planned expansion. 100% absorption rate is something that dealers are working on achieving. Talk to me about, is absorption, are you close to where the service and parts department, the profit from that's covering the expenses of the dealership?
I think we're getting pretty good. I think we're getting pretty close, especially since those customers are coming back with the prepaid maintenance. They have to come back to us. They can't go anywhere else. So, and then with us reminding them, hey, you have to come in, it's getting good. And they add accessories. In the meantime, we have a lot of builds up front where, you could see like the different things that we've added. And so while they're in for service, we typically add an accessory as well.
You've got a really happy dealer principal, don't you? Because you're taking care of service.
Yes.
All right. Greg Didis is coming all the way from the John Elway Powersports Group. And this is Interstate Honda's the dealership. And I know there's a lot of people here that have owned the dealership for a lot of years. And they're interested in what you have to say about this transition. So you've been at Interstate Honda for a long time.
I have.
And you've worked in a lot of different roles, and now you've transitioned over to the John Elway Group. Tell us about your story, Greg.
All right. Well, I originally started working for this dealership in 1991. I actually entered into the motorsports market in 89 or 88. Worked through 4 ownership changes in this time. 25 years of it I spent as a parts and service director, learning the whole back end. A few years, after 25 years, I spent a few years in the sales department and assistant general manager. And then when Michael Maladon bought our dealership from the John Elway dealership group, I made me an offer for general manager, and I'll be honest, I knew about this for 6 months. It had been weighing on my heart. Car guys coming into the motorsports side. I've seen a lot of people talk. I had a good friend of mine, Adam Bebout, was a national sales manager for Fox. He's like, man, you might want to think about this. He says, I deal with the Karl Malone guys over in Utah, and they love it. He says, you might just want to sit back and see what happens. And I am very glad that I did. It has been the best operators that I've ever worked for. They care about all of our employees. They walk alongside us. They want us to be entrepreneurs. They want to learn a little bit. They want to interact some of their success, and we share in it all together.
All right, it sounds like you're saying it's a good thing. There's got to be challenges with it. So I want to go to that. Let's pull up the questionnaire. I want to hear from the audience. Go back to Menti. I want to hear what you think about this, because I think I've talked to some dealers that are skeptical about the large dealership groups. And, with this, are you worried about the big dealership groups? We've got a few options there. There might be other things you want to weigh in on, but weigh in on what do you think about the large expanding dealership groups that seem to be growing in our industry. Interstate Honda was known for having a great reputation. Great people were at the core of that, and the way that you took care of customers.
It's
now,
true.
How has that changed? Are there challenges with that?
No, it hasn't changed a bit. The group is very protective of the name. We represent John Elway, and we're a very transparent dealer. Everything is priced. There's no games we play. And I'll tell you, after working through a few past owners, capital definitely helps keep everything healthy. These guys are prepared to go the distance. That being said, that affords us a lot of opportunity to do things that we couldn't do before.
Okay, you've said everything you've said is very positive. What if there's been any challenge with the transition?
Customers for the first few months.
Okay.
We did field a few calls, some reviews that you're like, I'm never going to deal with the car dealer again. After a few months, that all went away. They saw things were just like they were before. Nobody lost, privileges, discounts, the way we treated our customers, and it's like Elway's always been there now.
Well, it seems like you've handled the transition as smoothly as possible, and the customers come in. They not only have the great people that were with Interstate Honda before the acquisition. Now that you're associated with the Elway brand, it's just adding to it. It's adding to the experience. That's awesome.
Yeah, it definitely is added to the experience. We're going out and we're securing a lot more ways to get our customers in. We're doing a lot more events. And we're growing our platform. We're hoping to go 2 to 3 more dealers per year.
So I heard that Karl Malone just acquired his 16th dealership, and he was number 34, I believe, for the Dream Team and the Utah Jazz. So he wants 34 dealerships. I can't remember what number was Elway, and is that how many dealerships he's going to have?
No, he was 7, but I believe we're going at 2 to 3 a year. 14, 16 dealers is what their ideal group size will be.
Okay, so, and I also noticed that some of the respondents were saying they might be interested in selling, but there were a lot that were saying that they're driving improvements in the customer experience as well. You may get some calls after this, but what do you think? Would you welcome that?
We'll definitely welcome it.
Okay.
Give us a call.
So the audience seems to be convinced that the big dealer groups are driving a better customer experience, and everything you're talking about it seems like Elway is doing a lot of the right things.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, the way they want us to treat our staff, our customers, the way we follow up, you know, within a transaction. You know, Dave was talking about connect. It's very important to us. Within a moment you do any type of transaction, sales, service, parts, you're immediately prompted for a review. You know, they want to know. We're not hiding. We're not just telling ourselves we're good. We're proving that we're good.
That's awesome. All right, let me introduce to you Ian Riley. Some of you may have already met Ian. He participated in the Making Customers the Hero of Your Dealership story yesterday with me, and great to have Ian. Ian came all the way out from Fredericton, Maryland, and just excited to have him with us and talk about some of the things that they're doing. Ian, this has been a long trip. Has it been worth it to come out to AIM? How's it been so far?
It's been absolutely wonderful. I look forward to this event just for the exact same reason you spoke of earlier. The connections with people, to bounce ideas off one another, to see what the industry is offering. And if we look around, we see that the electric market is here. And having a little bit of education, conversation, and that's been important. So by all means, well worth the trip, and it's a gift to be surrounded by people with like minds and be able to take some information back and hopefully apply it.
One of the biggest challenges in dealership, you mentioned the people here at AIM and connecting with people at AIMExpo. This is a challenge in dealerships, and I heard some of you were in the session before with Rick Alcon, and people, this idea of hiring and retaining the right people is difficult. But let's go ahead and do one more questionnaire. I think we have time for one more. So this Menti goes a little deeper, I think. Do you feel like you have the right people in the right place in your dealership right now? And that's something when I came to AIM, it's an opportunity to get away, get ideas and inspiration from others, and evaluate, do a gut check and do an evaluation when you can step outside of the dealership of how can I work on the dealership. One of the questions we might be asking is, do we have the right people in the right place? Because we come here and we're attracted to new products, and do we have the right people in the right place to make that happen in the dealership is a question that we need to make sure we have that component of the plan. So hiring the right people, I mean, just finding people, it seems like it's harder than ever. And this is something, of course, that's resonating. Getting the retention, keeping the retention, this is a challenge. We get the right people, we invest, and then it's difficult to retain them. I know this is something that all of you would like to weigh in on, but Ian, I'd like to hear first, do you have any examples of where making sure people are in the right people are in the right place to sell all these great products and take care of customers?
Well, we're a small family dealership, and we've been lucky to have good retention. One thing I'll say is that a few years ago, 2019, we know electric is coming, and so I know I had 2 staff members that are very active in the bicycle community, also very skilled in motorcycles, but bicycles. So when the opportunity to pick up the Yamaha pedal assist e-bike line came about, I knew I had 2 people in place that could help drive the business. That we couldn't just take a product, put it there, and expect it to sell itself. So without those 2 individuals that really lead our e-bike department, the success wouldn't be there. So that really has played a big part. And also having the right people in the service department, having the right sales to continue relationships, but relationships in areas that are applicable to their strengths.
So this whole idea of identifying the skill set of your people and making sure that that's aligned with the products that you have, I mean, that really worked for you with the e-bikes, bringing in the e-bikes. Where do you see that going in your dealership? Is it, I mean, are you, one of the challenges, it's a lot different deal than a motorcycle, the repair process, like everything. How do you deal with all that?
It was definitely a learning process. We've been a dealership. My parents opened up the dealership in 1975. I grew up in it. I knew motorcycles. I knew motorcycle people, knew the processes. Sales and relationships we knew. But we did have to adjust to even though it's a pedal assist and it's electric motor and it's two wheels, which is what we do, we had to prepare ourselves for a new customer base walking through our door, which is wonderful because it expanded our customer base, but we had to be prepared for them. And so we did have to kind of be ready for if there was going to be service, how can we make sure we held up our end on that to support the sales side. The nice part is we've found ways to implement with the current staff to make sure it was handled properly.
Okay. Well, that's a great example, and what a great takeaway. The products that you're investing in that you've identified here at AIM, go with a plan. And so go back to the dealership with a plan on how am I going to execute and what people are important for that plan to execute and make that a success in your dealership. Opening it up to the group, I think one of the things that's weighing on our awesome dealers that are here today is employee retention. And this is something that's a constant challenge. I know this is a challenge for each of your dealerships. What are some of the things that you're doing to build a great team and to keep a team and to keep them engaged and retain your employees?
Well, I will say, I know I've gone back to the e-bike and the pedal assist thing. We've had staff, and we've been lucky to retain staff for a number of years. And I have one staff member who is an extremely fast motorcycle racer, a top national rider, and he got injured and he stopped riding motorcycles, but still rides a little bit, but not much, and he did a lot of bicycling. By us bringing in a product line that he was engaged in again, lit a fire under him again, and it rejuvenated his enthusiasm, which one, it helped drive our new segment of our business, but also his enthusiasm carried back to what he'd always done. So we found ways to keep re-engaging our employees and keeping it fun and exciting. And sometimes new is scary, but it also can be fun in the process and something you're learning that part of it.
That's awesome. Day, I heard that you have a great lead technician, and you have a special strategy for retaining top technician talent.
Yes,
you want to share that?
You marry one. That's how you keep them. So I was fortunate enough to meet my husband a long time ago when he was a technician, and so I have definitely, he was glad to join my team. So he's been sticking with me, and I don't see him going anywhere. So that's one way to keep him. We've also found another one too, another technician. I did not marry him because one's enough. But we had a young kid that came from Hawaii, and he came from the car side, and we actually gave him a chance. He rode dirt bikes, and now that we're carrying Can-Ams and it's literally a car, we gave him a chance. And he has definitely worked out really, really well for us, and all the trainings that he's taken, and he's working out really, really well.
I've heard dealers say that we're losing technicians to the auto industry, and you've turned it around.
I turned it around, yes, because it's essentially the same thing. So my husband also came from the car side, and he works on side-by-sides motorcycles, and now our other technician, Ron, he's definitely doing really, really well for us.
So I want to dig into that a little more. You've got a up-and-coming, not a master technician, but an up-and-coming technician. Probably knows that the auto industry or the heavy equipment industry, there's more money in that as a technician. How are you retaining a new technician that probably could go do something else and maybe make more money?
It's a fun industry. We play with toys. We have toys. So I feel like the car industry is so serious, so I don't know, just serious. With us, we have fun. We have a great time in the service department. We do mess around, we do play around, but these guys do work really, really hard. And, at the end of the day, these are toys. We have a great time. They all ride, they ride dirt bikes, street bikes, and the Can-Ams. So we make it a fun place.
All right, Greg, we've been talking about the car industry, and John Elway started with car dealerships, and then, and so he must have been super serious. Maybe he decided he was being a little too serious, so he went into the power sports business. Is there anything though that translates? Is there anything that you've learned from the auto industry that helps with the power sports?
Yeah, some of our processes that they've helped bring in, as far as how we actually could visualize a lot of our day-to-day operations. It's very much in our face, how we do our trip logs, our cash cards. I know exactly the health of the dealership at all time. I'm also a director of our inventory and logistics over 5 stores. Yep. I sheet all of our inventory up. We have round tables. We make it very, we don't lie to ourselves. So, a lot of people, I think, struggle because they end up lying about, certain situations that are going on in your dealership. You have to address it. You have to deal with it. Otherwise, I think you're, slated to failure. Also, as far as some of our, employee retention as well.
Yeah.
We just pay them. Mechanics, they're worth their weight. We just step up and we make sure they're valued and they're paid. We try to build out a nice facility. It's hard to attract quality technicians when they walk in and it looks like the garage at their home. They want to work with great tools, great machines, nice lifts. You got to make sure you invest in that.
So it's twofold there. You're investing in the facility, in the equipment, in the tools. The technicians have their own tools, but the environment that they work in is top notch.
It is. We're building them all out. Another thing is career paths. As we, one of the fortunate things we have is we grow as a group. We have lots more opportunity. It's not like you're working at a dealership that's got 10 positions, and when those 10 positions are filled, chance of it or for advancement really decline. We can move people laterally. When we have positions opened up, we hire and promote within. So, when we're trying to lure people in, and we're right now we're running national ads for for employees. It's really nice when we can offer all of this to them.
That's awesome. So you're focused on finding great people. And then the other element, the second part of that is you are looking at the market rates, and you're making sure that you're probably paying a little more than some of the competitors to make sure you have the best people.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Well, let's look at, and this is a good takeaway. I mean, these are practical things. These are practical takeaways we can take back to the dealership. If we go back to the questions, let's take a look at with the expanding dealership. I'd like to pull that back up. So with expanding dealerships, I know that there might be some dealer principals in the audience that are thinking about succession planning. Am I going to pass the dealership on? Ian, you're in a position where you're in a family-owned business. You're a general manager, so this has got to be something that you're thinking about. Greg, with succession planning, I know that you've talked to a lot of other dealer principals that have sold their business to an expanding dealer group now. What are the opportunities to what should a dealership do to prepare to sell their business to an expanding dealership group?
Barcode everything. It makes it much easier for, like I said, when you're presenting your business, clean your books up, clean your inventory up, make it very presentable. These guys, when they come in, we're running a lot of reports, we're identifying things, and then we were walking into your dealership. It makes it much easier when we go in and you look at things and you prepare to sell your business and you want all the money for it.
That's great. So this is something that even if I'm not planning on selling to selling the business, I still want to do these things. You're probably doing these things in John Elway dealership to make sure that you have a good accounting of your parts and accessories, and you have bin locations and everything.
Exactly. It's kind of like when you live in a home for 20 years and you've been meaning to put AC in, but right before you go to sell it, what do? You go ahead and put AC in. At that point, it's like, why didn't you enjoy it all these years? Maybe you would end up selling it if you'd straightened everything up and ran it maybe just a little bit differently.
All right, we've just got a few minutes left, and I want to get a rapid fire words of advice from each of our three panelists. If there's one thing that you could share with the audience, share with the great dealers that are here, that they could take away back to their dealership to improve profitability, to make their dealership, help their dealership deliver exceptional experiences. We've talked a lot about the people today, but what takeaways do you have? What would you share? If it's okay, we'll start with Day, and then go in the same order, Greg, and then Ian for final words.
I would say give that woman a chance, let her prove her worth. So definitely, I know it's a male-dominated industry, but definitely give us a chance. We can definitely show you what we're worth. So
I would say, as far as, investing in your employees, take time to listen and be present. There's lots of things going on. Your day is very busy, but when somebody comes to you, you need to listen to them. You need to focus on them, not your phone, not the emails that are coming in. And, that'll turn around. That'll actually, all of a sudden your employee will start to, wonder, and he doesn't want to let you down because you're really focused on him or her.
All right, and then Ian, what's your final words?
I would just say, as far as employees go and retention, is that try to remind them, and also make it fun for them. We're in a fun industry, like Day said. It's something you get to do with each other as employees or owners or whatever. It's things we get to do. Our employees get to do with customers, and we become, I like to call it the Moto family. It's an ever-growing Moto family of a community that works together, and I think that plays a big part in success.
It's no coincidence that the title of this session was Delivering Exceptional Experiences to Customers. And the advice and the ideas, the best practices that our dealers, panelists have shared, I think build that foundation to provide those experiences. When I was 12 years old, I started working in our family farm equipment dealership, and we had loads of international parts that I focused on for the first couple years working in the dealership. I was counting the parts and making sure we had an accurate accounting of it, and so we had the right parts that were in place. But what I noticed was Myron, the parts manager, my boss, was focused on the people, and what I was doing helped him focus on the farmers that were coming in, and all year he was getting to understand what their needs were, and when harvest came, he was there for them to make sure that their equipment that broke down was ready to go when it was time to keep the tractors going in the field. And I think that the best practices and things that you have shared with us today, you can't help but have a little army of people that will help to make sure customers never miss a ride. So thank you to our dealer panelists that have been here today. Thank you for coming and participating. Have a great AIMExpo this year, and we'll see you next year.